Smartwatches are not going away. In fact, the market is growing for everybody that makes smartwatches. And as their list of features grows, so do the number of customers making the investment. I'm Erin from TechGadgetsCanada.com, and Samsung has just launched its newest watch. This is the latest iteration of its wearable devices that were formerly known as Gear S. I received a 42mm rose gold version of the watch to test out for several weeks. I tried it out with my Apple iPhone X and the Google Pixel 2 XL. While the iPhone X is my go-to smartphone device, it's important to note that most folks who'd want to buy this watch are probably Android users. If, on the other hand, you're an Apple user, but you just like the looks of this watch better, you're going to learn here how well it works with an Apple device as well. The first thing I want to say about this watch is just what you can see, that it's gorgeous. The round metal casing is complemented by the soft silicone band, and the rose gold face that I chose makes it look like a high-end watch. The movement of the hands is really realistic, and the display is quite sharp and detailed, allowing the second hand to sweep realistically, even displaying a subtle shadow. To access the various apps and features of the Samsung Watch, you can do a couple of different things. You can either rotate the bezel or use the multifunction buttons here on the side to get access to different features and different apps and shortcuts. Samsung Watch comes with things like messages, phone, contacts, the Samsung Health app, an alarm, calendar, and reminders, among many others. You can get up-to-date local weather from your watch, but to do it, you'll need to grant permission for the watch to use your location. Now, for Apple users, that means going into the Watch app on your Apple iPhone, selecting Settings, Apps, then Weather, and turning on Location services. From there, I was able to choose between Fahrenheit and Celsius, adjust how often the weather info updates, everywhere from every hour to only every 24 hours if you're trying to preserve battery life. Now, with the Pixel 2 XL, it was a simple tap on the watch's Weather app to enable those permissions. You can really do a lot with this watch. Android users can read and reply to text messages in a couple different ways. You can use voice input. Thanks for the test message. You can also use emojis if you want a quicker reply. Now, if you want to spell something out, there is a way to input text using an alphanumeric keypad. Now, that alphanumeric keypad harkens back to when you used to have to peck out text messages using the number buttons on your phone. It's definitely tedious and takes some getting used to, and the predictive nature of the responses means you'll be constantly correcting it. I was immediately wishing for the drawing pad that Apple Watch has, where you can just trace the letters out with your fingertips. When it comes to getting alerts for Apple users, it's a bit of a different story. I was able to see calendar appointments on the watch without doing anything, and text messages came in, but I wasn't able to reply to them. Alerts came in from my Facebook page, Twitter, and my Ring Video doorbell, plus Apple Home. And I was able to see notifications from Facebook and Twitter, but I couldn't respond to them. I also couldn't find a way to switch off some of the alerts. It seemed like it was an all-or-nothing prospect when the info was coming in from the iPhone. If I turned everything off, I got nothing. I just couldn't see how to turn off only certain alerts like Facebook and Twitter, but keep things coming in like texts and emails. If you want to use the watch to make phone calls, you can. The watch will use your phone to make the connection, essentially turning the watch into a really small speakerphone. Hello, it's me.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
The
call quality is good, and it's definitely as good as calls I've made using the Apple Watch. Now, of course, you're on speakerphone, so it is what it is, but if that's the way you want to chat, this watch is going to deliver. If you want to keep track of your health stats, you'll need to download the Samsung Health app. With it, you can keep track of calories burned, floors climbed, steps, as well as your heart rate. Data is available at a glance on the watch or in depth on the Samsung Health app, which you can download for both Android and iPhone. The Health app also does a good job of collecting health and activity info, though I'd like to test it in detail against my #1 activity tracker, Fitbit, to compare it. And if I can hang on to this loner long enough, I definitely will. I did a quick comparison on heart rate measurements and was a bit surprised by what I found. While the Fitbit Versa and the Apple Watch both measured my heart rate at largely the same number, the Samsung Watch was always quite different, usually a bit lower. Fitbit showed a heart rate of 81 beats per minute, Apple registered 79, and the Samsung was 69. Yet on other occasions when I tried the measurements again, the watches all came very close. The Samsung reading 83, Apple showing 80 beats per minute, and the Fitbit showing 80. So what does this mean for accuracy? I'm not sure. I did a little experiment where I put on the Samsung Watch, the Apple Watch, and the Fitbit Versa and hit the stairs in my house. I hit them twice. The Fitbit recorded both instances instantly. The Apple Watch and the Samsung Watch did not. Is this because of how they're calibrated? Do I need to climb more stairs in a single climb to get it to register? I can't say, but in this case, Fitbit was more accurate at picking up my activity. When it comes to counting steps, I tested the watches against each other. Now, the Fitbit Versa and the Apple Watch were quite similar. Fitbit registered about 2,650 steps to the Apple Watch's 2,697, so they're fairly close. Now, the Samsung Watch, meanwhile, showed me only about 1,961 steps, so there's quite a discrepancy there. And that's despite the fact that I had been wearing this Samsung Watch for about an hour before I put on either of these other two. I tested the watches by taking 10 steps at a time around my house. The Fitbit tallied them accurately and immediately. The Apple Watch tallied them mostly accurately, missing a step or two and then adding them sometimes a few minutes later, while the Samsung Watch added steps only sometimes. Occasionally 8 or 10 steps would appear on the watch a few seconds after I stopped. Other times they'd never show up. I looked for calibration instructions online and couldn't find anything, but I did find a whole lot of forums complaining about the Samsung Watch's pedometer accuracy. Overall, I wasn't happy with the Samsung Watch's activity and tracking features, finding it to be less than accurate. When it comes to the battery life, this watch is outstanding. It lasts for days on a single charge. The battery is a 472 milliamp battery in the larger watch and 270 milliamps in the smaller version, and it's been supplying me with about 3 to 4 days reliably of battery life. That's outstanding on many levels and kicks the poop out of even the newly announced Apple Watch Series 4. The Samsung Watch comes with the Bixby digital assistant, and I have to say I've tried it a few times, not just with this watch, but I am still not a fan. I find that more often than not, you've got to summon Bixby multiple times or make a request over and over again before it'll hear you. Let's just give it a try here. Hey Bixby, what's 12 plus 12? Nothing. Bixby, what's 12 plus 12? Bixby, what's 12 plus 12? Still nothing. Hey Bixby, what's 12 plus 12? There he goes. So what's 12 plus 12? Could not find the answer to your question. So frustratingly, I found that was the case most of the time with the Bixby digital assistant. It had a hard time locating phone numbers and calling people from my address book, even though I only had 3 contacts in there. Bixby, in my opinion, is still a big time work in progress. So if you're hoping to get this watch so that you've got the smarts of a digital assistant, I think you're going to be pretty disappointed. Overall, I have a love-hate relationship with this watch. I love the looks and think it's definitely the best looking smartwatch out there. I love the faces and the rose gold case and the beautiful comfortable bands. This watch just looks great. Where I start to lose some love for the watch is in the connectivity. I found it finicky to keep it connected to my Pixel phone, and that trouble with connectivity means sometimes I didn't get needed alerts and sometimes I did. Now, when the alerts worked, the watch was great. I got Facebook and Twitter updates, plus texts, calendar appointments, and a lot more. When it comes to Bixby, the digital assistant, I found Bixby to be a bit of a waste of time, but hopefully Samsung's engineers are working on making Bixby a little bit smarter. I thought the connectivity with the Apple iPhone was pretty good, despite the fact that these devices are like apples talking to oranges. You get the basics, and for some people that might be enough to make them happy. I think the Samsung Watch, though, is best for Android users and probably Samsung phone users in particular. Apple users can probably get enough out of it to justify the purchase if they try, but other Apple phone users who want that 100% connectivity are going to be pretty disappointed. The Samsung 42mm rose gold watch sells for about $419 Canadian from places like Best Buy and Amazon. If you want to read more about the watch, there's a full blog online at techgadgetscanada.com. You can head over there and check it out, post any questions you have, either there on the website or, of course, here on the YouTube channel. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing, since it helps me keep making more videos that I hope you all can watch and enjoy. I'm Erin. Find me on Twitter or Instagram until the next time. I'm at Erin L. YYC.